Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, it's time for coffee blondes and s'mores. S'mores Bean Flicker is a 4.5% blonde ale from Oddside Ales in Grand Haven, Michigan. Bean Flicker is one of the first craft beers I can really remember having and thinking, wow, this is something I can get into. Now, my only issue in the past with Bean Flicker is that it always tastes great on tap, but when I've had it in cans or in bottles, when that was a thing, I was always disappointed. It never tasted quite as good. Now, Oddside's been releasing new variations, either new coffee roasters or different flavors in Bean Flicker, and S'mores is the latest. So let's see if it breaks that chain of tasting better on tap or better in the can. But first, I'd like to thank my executive producers, Brian Kramer, David Jeffries, and Cam Freeman, for helping to bring this review to you today. If you'd like to become a producer, help out the channel, or maybe just throw me a couple bucks to buy me a beer, take a look at my Patreon at patreon.drafttherapy.com, where you can get early access to these videos and a few other special perks that are available only to patrons. If the monetary thing isn't your thing, I totally understand. Please just share the video. Let's spread the word about these great beers that we have in the state and around the country. So let's take a look at the label. If you've seen Bean Flicker, this should look very reminiscent to you. Across the top, we have the pink can. It says Oddside in white. Underneath that on the label, it says Oddside with the 3 hop cones, Bean Flicker S'mores. It has the tree in the background, the coffee beans kind of rolling off the hand. Underneath that, it says Blonde Ale with coffee and natural s'mores flavoring. I don't know exactly what natural s'mores flavoring is, but we'll find out. On the back here, it says Oddside Bean Flicker S'mores, our original coffee blonde ale with the added flavor of your favorite fireside treat. This is 4.5% alcohol by volume. Again, blonde ale with coffee and natural s'mores flavoring. We also see that they have brewed and canned by Oddside Ales in Grand Haven, Michigan, and you can find more about them on their social media at Oddside Ales. This was canned on June 1st, 2022. I actually bought this can before I went on vacation, which was just a few weeks ago now. It was something I wanted to talk about, just didn't really have time to do it ahead of time. So let's go ahead and crack this. We're going to put a nose on the can like we do for every beer, and we'll see what we can get on the aroma side. It smells really chocolatey, really super chocolatey. There might be a bit of a graham cracker coming through, maybe a little bit of a coffee as well. Let's go ahead and pour this. Comes out blonde, just as you'd expect. This is how Bean Flicker looks. It might smell quite a bit darker, but it looks very light. And as you can see, we got about a finger of head, kind of loosely packed bubbles. They are popping very quickly. They're kind of dissipating and maybe expanding a little bit. If we hold it up to the light here, as you can see, that is really clear, really see-through. I can see my fingers. I can see nice carbonation rising up, but I can see my fingers very easily. You may be able to see me through the glass. I can't tell. To you, it looks a little bit more amber than it does to me. To me, it looks very yellow, very blonde. And we're going to put a nose on the glass here. Just like out of the can, getting big chocolate notes. It smells, you do smell a little bit of graham cracker. I'm not really picking up any kind of coffee, aroma that I might pick up on a regular Bean Flicker, but this smells big time like a s'more. You get, maybe not the marshmallow part of it, but you definitely get the chocolate, you get the graham cracker. Let's go ahead and see what this tastes like. Cheers. As always, we start with the mouthfeel. Mouthfeel, as you would expect from a blonde ale, especially Bean Flicker, very crisp, very clear, very bright, very clean, has all those really great flavors. Now, let's talk about, I'm sorry, all those great mouthfeel characteristics, not necessarily flavors, but let's talk about the flavor here. On the upfront, very much on the upfront, what I get is a good amount of like a marshmallowy kind of quality in there. A nice sweet marshmallow flavor on the very upfront. And a little bit of graham cracker. That's then followed up by more of those kind of blonde qualities. You start to get this real strong, almost bitterness that comes through. It's like that hoppy bitterness starts to really come through. So there is a bit of a citrus, a bit of a kind of piney. It's almost a little bit harsh, but blondes, it's very much how I drink, how I think of a blonde, like it tastes very much like a blonde ale. On the finish is when you start to get a little bit of that chocolate that comes through, a little bit of that kind of roasty chocolate, and you definitely get the coffee on the after taste, right? That's where it really starts to pick up. I still get a little bit of a bitterness on my tongue even after this long, after I've drank it and talked about it, but I'm still getting those bitter notes, but I'm also picking up, like I said, a little bit on a coffee. Let's see if I get anything else this third taste through. Yeah, definitely getting those kind of marshmallowy flavors up front, getting a little bit of a bright citrusy kind of vibe, which I would expect from a coffee, I'm sorry, from a blonde ale. Then it starts to get that little hoppy bitterness, like I said, a little bit piney, maybe a little bit citrus, but not really too citrusy. It's just really kind of got that hoppy bitterness to it. On the finish again, that's where you start to get that coffee, a little bit more of that chocolate flavor comes through. It really ties it all together. Now, I don't know, I didn't have the last one, which I can't remember. It was like, I think it was caramel. They did a caramel bean flicker, which I didn't get a chance to try that one. I did get a chance to try the regular bean flicker and one of the coffee roasting variants that they did. I'll post it up in the corner. It's one that I talked about in the past. I don't know. This seems like, while it's a good beer, I don't know if this would be something I would pick up again. Nothing sliding odd side. It's just not at this point. I feel like there's not. I feel like Bean Flicker is kind of just being switched up so that it can sell a little bit more. You know, it's kind of changing. There's so much room in craft beer now that you would have to be, I feel that you would have to be a really diehard Odd Side Ales fan, like someone that wants to try everything Odd Side does, to go and pick this up after the fact at this point. It just doesn't have, there's so much more exciting beer out there, I think, than what this is. It is a nice, especially right now, it's summertime. It's a really nice beer for that. You get that kind of s'moresy flavor. You feel like you're sitting around a campfire, maybe drinking one of these. But I just feel like it doesn't do enough to stand out. I think that some of the old classics, unfortunately, are getting passed by all these ales that add all these different flavors, and that's what people are really buying. But if you're a classic blonde fan, if you love blonde ales, if you're just like a diehard blonde ale fan, which I don't think I've ever met one of those, but if you are one of those people and you just want to try something that's a little bit different, I think S'mores Bean Flicker is a good beer for that. But if you're not somebody that's a diehard blonde ale fan, you'll probably pass on this. And just because the landscape, we're so saturated with great beers right now. Nothing against Odd Side. I just feel like it's got a tough road to hoe to find its place in the beer landscape right now. All right, friends, that's been S'mores Bean Flicker. Does everything it says on the can. Have you had this one before? Do you prefer the original, or do you think it's markedly better maybe on tap than it is at home? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, if you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell. And check me out. I'm talking about beer twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all for free for viewers just like you. It doesn't cost you a thing except your time. And you might miss your newest favorite, or you might, be able to avoid a clunker because you're watching these videos. You're getting a good idea of what's on the shelf with all the other stuff out there. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries. These guys are obviously in Grand Haven, Michigan. Odd Side Ales, classic Michigan brewery. Until next time, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Cheers.